All right, so we are kind of concluding the Gan Eden story, and we were up to finish chapter 3, and we do just the beginning of chapter 4 and try to understand how I guess we can make sense of the whole story of Gan Eden and how to use it in our everyday life. All right, so it says like that. Now the man had known his wife Eve, Chava, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have acquired a man with Hashem. So we see here, it's interesting because we have seen before that Adam and Chava were together, but there was no fruit, as if to say that the first time they were together, there was something missing that didn't allow them to have children, which could explain the problem of the intimacy that they had, meaning the problem of their unity, Adam not recognizing his female part in order to have a child. And by the way, it's very important when one has a child that both couple be united. Sometimes this is the reason why they are not having children, is because there's no real unity, a full male, full female, with the respect, the love, and the joy, because there's a soul that needs to be downloaded. But for that spirit also to be downloaded, we need to have the proper vessel, and the man and the woman are not balanced enough. So when you work on your couple, you can have a child, and you can have a higher soul. So then here it's interesting because Eve, right, Chava, didn't have children with Adam, but once Adam Rishon recognized his female part, meaning recognized Chava, the greatness of Chava, and that's what she's called here, Adam Yada et Chava Ishto, Chava, his wife is Chava. Now she's able to have a child with Hashem, which they're able, like the three partners, to have a child. Now they're able to be fruitful and multiply. And additionally, she bore his brother Hevel. Hevel became a shepherd, and Cain became a tiller of the ground. So what's happening here is, so we are past, the chet of Adam HaRishon, and it seems that there's two types of people in the world that are going to have to fix the world. There's the people who are more like Hevel, which are basically Hevel Hevel means emptiness, vanity, is more just being alone, meaning here, but he's not fixing in the way that Cain does, because we see Cain, he's working the ground, but the ground was just cursed. So my rabbi explained that the Cain was actually involved in trying to fix the curse and work the ground. And Hevel just, just after that, we have Cain who brings an offering, and Hevel says, Gam Hevel. Hevel also decide to bring a carbon to Hashem. And Cain is not answered, and Hevel is answered. And we have to understand, we're going to have two types of people in the world. The people who are meant to be here for greatness, who they're here to really fix the curse on the high level, and therefore God is going to demand more of those individuals. It's like we say, like a Jew and a non-Jew. A Jew has a greater responsibility to fix the world than a non-Jew. The non-Jew is here to support and to help us do our job, and that's why we could see, oh, look at the beautiful life that the non-Jew has. He doesn't have all those commandments. He doesn't have so much pressure, so much suffering, like why the history, no persecution, anti-Semitism, all that. And really, we're misunderstanding the point. The point is, as a Jew, as a Cain, because let's remember that the neshama of Cain, it says that he's going to be the Kohen Gadol when Moshe has come. So Cain is not the bad guy. Cain is incredible. It's just that he, wanted to murder Hevel because he felt he was unfair. And it's like a Jew saying, no, it's unfair that we're Jewish, and so you get angry and arrogant at the non-Jew and accuse him of whatever we will accuse him, that we feel it's unfair. So God is saying, no, you're greater. You're as like a coach who has someone who is working on himself, and the coach is pushing him to work harder than others because he knows that guy has the potential. So we're gonna have two type of people involved in the world in after the Chet, and we have to understand that this is we have to recognize our responsibility and not try to compare ourselves with others, whether it's a Jew or whether it's a non-Jew. Each one has his own place. Now, so that's here where I would like to conclude in terms of in the text, the general story of Gan Eden, and I want to go a bit off track, so to speak, and speak about, okay, now that we saw the whole thing of Gan Eden, we have to try to understand that Gan Eden, or the story of Gan Eden, story of creation and putting in being in Gan Eden, working the work that we have to do in Gan Eden, is the story of our lives. And then many levels. I'm going to try to connect to some levels with the best of my ability, with Hashem's help. It's like that. So one level is every day you wake up, right? And you wake up in a Garden of Eden. You were born. We know Mechias HaMesim, right? Every day we're resurrected, so to speak. God put our soul back, and we wake up in the morning, and I'm like Adam. Adam as one. I have my male part and female part, and I have which also correspond to my my soul and my body, and I need to unify them, right? If my body doesn't love my soul and doesn't look up at my soul doesn't give greatness and kavod to the body, then there is no unity. It's like Adam and Eve fighting and not respecting each other, and we need therefore to fix that like we need to marry ourselves and work on the garden. The garden is our body. Our body is not Eden is the body, and the garden is really the work that we do in that body. As we know, the Garden of Eden had 613 trees. 613 trees correspond, therefore, to the 613 commandments, obviously, and they correspond to the 613 parts of the body. 248 positive commandments corresponding to 248 organs, and 365 negative commandments correspond to 365 sinews or tendons. Different, opinion translation. That's what Rabbi Chaim Vital says in Sha'arei Kedusha. So what we're saying is that our body is that work. I am every day dealing with my own inner Eden and Gan Eden, and I'm trying to work that garden to cultivate it in my garden. There are animals. There are, the same way we look at the world out there. This thing. So what are the animals? The animal, we know that we are supposed to learn Torah from animals. If the Torah was never given, says the Talmud, we would have been obligated to learn the lessons of life, how to come close to God, midos, character traits from animals. Like the Gemara gives an example with the cat, sneeze, or the ant. So we're saying that all this part of the all those animals are also part energies, strength, kochos that exist in us, and that we have to use in order to, and as it says in the beginning of Bereshit, that we have to control, those animals that are in us. There's the kosher animals, non-kosher animals. Again, we have to look at the entire Torah, the blueprint, which is all included into Sefer Bereshit, which is all included in the story of creation, which is all included in Gan Eden. And that's our entire body. So every day we wake up and we are able to be in Gan Eden. We do the work of Gan Eden, but it's harder because we don't have clarity. We don't hear the voice of God walking into the garden. You can achieve it when you work and eat from the Etz HaChaim. Etz HaChaim being the Torah, being the spheros that are in us, right? And this is our daily work. So that's more internally, the internal work, which is the main one. Then we have to work at it with the outside world. So now my main work, that's what I always like to say, the purpose of man is to be married and to learn to be one with his wife. That's the main job, so that then he can come one with God, one with his female part. So that's his and he's working on relationship with his wife. When he works with on his relationship with his wife, then he can work on the relationship with others also. And this way we can all become we can all become one and work on that garden of Eden of ours. And we're in the world here, and we're here with our spouse, trying to work at it, trying to become one. And the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the snake. And by the way, when we're speaking just before about our inner garden of Eden, our inner work, that is also the snake, right? Which gives us those desire and gives us those thoughts that might contradict God or push us to think the wrong way or go away from God. So part of that is again to be creative. There are 613 mitzvahs to do. So it's not just within our body, but it's also outside of us. And we work on a double level, the inner world and the outer world. My Gan Eden inside, my Gan Eden outside. This is what happened because Adam HaRishon was not able to do it within himself. His wife was taken out of him, his female part, and now he had to do it on an external level, so that he would be able to work with her on an external level, with himself, but facing it. Also it says that well, okay, no, never mind, it's not so important. So continuing that idea, every day I wake up and I have to think I am Adam or I am Eve, and I got to become one with my other side. And I have 613 mitzvot, correspond to 613 trees of the garden, and I have to deal with the snake, deal with the Yetzer Hara now on the internal and external level. And by the end of the day, I try to see, have I achieved a level of Gan Eden? Eventually, we're going to come to the point where when Moshiach comes, where we won't need anymore the Torah, why? Because we will learn it straight from God, meaning not that we don't need the Torah, meaning we don't learn anymore from rabbis, because we'll be like Adam HaRishon in Gan Eden, learning Torah straight from Hashem. No need for rabbis. I'll be out of a job. But okay, now let's try to take that on a high level. Today will be a short class because well, we started late, and anyway, it's a very deep concept that we're talking about. So I don't know if I have enough clarity anyway to explain more than I'm going to explain. Now, we have to understand that every story basically of the Torah are just a reenactment of the Gan Eden story. Just like you have Avram and Sarah, we're with the reincarnation of Adam and Eve on some level, parts of the soul, and they are going to be confronted with some snakes, right? Different challenges, different temptation, different tests. And then you have also the Jews and the non-Jews and their confrontation. And within the non-Jews, there's also Amalek, which corresponds to the snake. As we know, the source of Amalek is actually Hamin Ha'etz, have you eaten from the tree? So it's those people that make us doubt. And we have the story, basically it continues, Yitzhak and Rivka, Yaakov, Rachel and Leah. And we're gonna have also, actually in truth, Yaakov, it said that Yaakov had reached the level of almost like Adam. He looked like Adam Arishon, and the angel mistaken him for Adam Arishon. So we see it's possible to go back to that level. The Jews at Har Sinai went back to level Adam Arishon before the sin. They had fixed everything, but they were not able to successfully complete the process to then go to the next level, which I want to speak about. Also the story of the Jews in Egypt. Pharaoh represents the snake. We know the pharaohs of Egypt had a snake-like thing, right? Dressed up like that, and with a cobra on the head, represents the snake that is trying to entrap us into Egypt, correspond to the body, which is the Garden of Eden, you know, imprisoned the Garden of Eden, but in a way that we're not access to the tree of life. And the Jews doing the work there to fix it. Then there's Mordechai and Esther and Haman being the snake, and countless and countless stories. Each time you have to find, so to speak, you know, finding Charlie, right? For those who know, you gotta find, okay, who represents Adam, who represents the male energy, who is Eve, who represents the female energy, and who is the snake, what's the challenge, how did it come, and how do we learn to deal with it in all those different situations? What did they do that fixed the sin of Adam Arishon? Now, what I would like to suggest is that really what's happening, Adam Arishon was in Gan Eden, and he was meant to become what's called Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon, okay, there's 5 levels of 5 worlds. Okay, there's the Olam Asiya, the lowest world here, which is the most external, the most physical. Then the Olam Yetzirah, which is the world of angels, dimensions of angels and souls, and Olam Abriya, which is the root of our soul and the higher angels. Then Atzilus, which is the light of God, and Adam Kadmon, which is basically the entire universe. And then there's beyond that, there's just God. Nothing else. No external, no consciousness, no souls, no nothing. Just Ein Sof. So we as human beings, we're supposed to be Adam Kadmon, the humanity. Humanity is supposed to be Adam Kadmon, meaning that the whole world is supposed to be a global consciousness energy that is in fact the God's partner, right? There's 2 things in the world, you and God. I mean, there's the world and God, nothing else. So we were supposed to become that Adam Kadmon. By working in the Garden of Eden, we have done the work to become Adam Kadmon. So Adam Arishon was put there and do the work, so I would like to show you a picture, right? So yeah, sorry for this. This is my artistic thing. So this whole thing is Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon corresponds to that perfect being that we will all become when everything will be unified and we can become one with God. This is our highest self, the highest self of humanity, when we're all one. So within, and because we sinned, and because at the beginning we were part of Adam Kadmon on the head, right, which was a very, very, very high level. I'm sorry if I'm struggling to explain, because it's a bit of a new concept and a deep concept. I'm trying to express it the best way I can. It's hard to put into words. But the garden is inside Adam Kadmon, where we're working on that being, which is humanity as a whole. And we are doing the inner work inside so that we can then become Adam Kadmon, right? So we have that garden. And I believe that the center of the garden is the heart, because the heart has 4 valves. And we know that in the Garden of Eden, there were 4 rivers that came from Eden, enter into the garden and put 4 different rivers. And they were all connected to the Etz HaChaim. Etz HaChaim, that's where the center of a garden. And you know, when we say Bechol Ba'avcha, that is 2 parts to our heart, the good and the bad. So that's the 2 trees really were 1 tree. I believe it's connected to the heart. So when we look at the Adam Kadmon like that, we understand that we were doing inner work. It's like we are in right now. We're in a human being, spiritual being, working the different parts in order to fix ourselves and the world to go to that level, to merit that level. Now, this corresponds to that's right. The 5 levels that I mentioned before is level of consciousness, which even non-Jews meditate a lot about it nowadays. But basically, our whole history is really correspond to that Adam Kadmon. So I'm looking for the, well, I'm going to use that. Basically, we have 10 steps, right? And originally we were working on the Garden of Eden, in the Garden of Adam Kadmon, but within more the head. This corresponds of the whole history. We're supposed to work on the head and infuse the entire body with what it needs. And innovate the physical in the spiritual world, whatever physical men there, use the head and elevate the physical. But because we failed, because it was too intense, it was too hard with Adam Rishon, then we went down and we had now to work on the bottom part, on the body. That's why we have 7 days a week, not 10 days a week. But this corresponds to 10,000 years of history. Okay, so 10,000 years of history were the actual, that's when we'll complete everything, when we'll be able to become one, the humanity will be able to become one. So right now we're working on the 6,000 years, we're working on that part. And then when Moshiach comes, and we'll have King David, Malchus, we'll all have completed the work, the work of the garden that correspond to work of inside of us, of humanity, and then we'll be able to then go up, meaning attach ourselves completely to the head. So Adam was here originally. That's why at the time, the first 2,000 years of history corresponded to the head. The next 2,000 years of history correspond to the torso, the heart. The last 2,000 years correspond to, I guess, from the waist till the bottom. And then we will be able to, the 7th millennium is Malchus, then all the 7,000 years will be complete. We have completed the 7 days of the week. We have fixed all the curses that correspond to the 6 days of the week, the 39 melachos, and we achieve the level of Shabbat where everything is being elevated, and then we will have an entire complete body ready for Olam Haba, ready to enter into the garment, to merit the garment of Adam Kadmon, where all of humanity will become one. So we have to look at this like where it's a micro level. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, if you're understanding. Again, it's a very lofty concept, but I want to read you something to understand also on the next level. and that is from Rabbi Yehuda Hashlag. Is an excerpt from the Baal HaSulam. He wrote a commentary on the Zohar, and he says like that. The word goy means nation, in Hebrew referring to a non-Jew. This word represents the uncorrected animalistic level of the person's soul. In the Torah, goy refers to the carnal ego that rules them. The word nochri, which means pagan, represents the cultivation, forming of that carnal ego, the beast. The word Hebrew, Ivri, comes from the word ever, which means to cross over. So a Hebrew is a person who has crossed over the spiritual barrier, machsom, which that was Avram HaIvri, who crossed on the other side. This was against the whole world, on the other side of the rest of the world, of the Goy. The word Israel is a person who has the intention of Yashar, which means straight to God. Yehudi, again, all those are different levels. Yehudi means, it comes from the word Yehud, meaning union. Well, Yehud, union, Yehudi comes connect to well, actually Yehud, I'm not sure, Yehud, but it's connected to that. I will have to check the Hebrew. Meaning Hebrew with Hashem, union with Hashem. Every person goes through all these levels. Listen to that. Meaning Jews and non-Jews all go through all these levels, from Nochri to Goy, to Ivri, to Israel, to Yehudi. We all start out as Goyim. When we choose the goal and begin the tikkunim, the fixing, we become Ivri, because we have crossed over. Then we become Israel, as we have aimed straight to God. Once we work at Dvekus, to be unified with God, then we become Yehudi. These terms, Jews and Gentiles, are different levels of perception and of the soul, and are available to and are embarked upon by every human being, and this occurs whether they are aware of it or not. Meaning that this is the entire world. This represents the Adam Kadmon, the global consciousness, the global Adam Kadmon that we're trying to reach, that perfect being, that perfect entity that is going to love God, right? Again, like I said, it's God and the rest of the world. So Adam Kadmon is that perfect entity, and in that entity, there's the Jew and there's the Goy, and there's all those 5 levels, and everybody is trying to work within this garden on its male and female energy, learning to create unity. And when all of us will have rectified and work to become one through the 613 trees of the gardens, through the 613 mitzvot, elevating ourselves, eventually we're going to become one. We're going to have that global consciousness where we'll be able to unite with God. So you see, we're speaking of a very lofty idea, and we have to look at ourselves as a micro Gan Eden, and as a microcosm of the story of Gan Eden, and a microcosm of the Adam Kadmon, the entire world. Yes, so I think this is what I wanted to share today. I don't know if it was clear enough or not. For those who came a bit late, you might want to listen what I said before. It might help. Yes, question? Unmute.
No, Rabbi, you answered already my question.
Oh, okay, great.
With the explanation. Yes, beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's always as beautiful as the people who are here. So you must be all very beautiful. So the idea is that every day you have an opportunity to fix the Garden of Eden. It starts inside of you. You are the garden, you male and female part, the snake in you, the challenge to be close to God, and like Cain and Hevel, not to feel like, oh, it's unfair, these people are like this or these people are like that, I'm not like this, I'm not like that. No, we all have our own unique mission, and we need to go from levels to levels. The 5 levels of the soul correspond to the 5 levels of going from Goy to Yehudi, and because why would God put people that are well, actually, I have to add one more thing, that there are people who don't have a soul like human beings, meaning there are sources, I'm not going to go into it now, there's hints from Rashi and many other places, but there was Adam Arishon, right, the first man, and then there were beings like Homo sapiens, but corresponding to they look like us, right, and the Rambam says that they're even demons that they have human being, they look like us, but they also have spiritual demon. Not that they're necessarily evil, but they are creatures, just a part of the animal world, or like animal angel, which is all programmed by God, so to speak, to do a certain task, just like the Satan is an angel from God. So they're here. So they are beings, people in the world who are here just as a part of the trying to remember the way I understood it. There's a Jew, there's the human being, and the human being has to understand the difference between he's a medaber, right? You're a medaber, but you can be a human being, but be like an animal. So you live your life and you don't do anything with your life, but wake up, eat, sleep, and anything. So though there are people out there, they're not meant to be Jewish, they're not meant to be, because they don't belong to that category. And it's not to put anybody down. Is an angel, is it bad to be an angel? No, it's not bad. It's created by God for a certain reason to be like that. So it's just that the people who are here to do the mission, to unite the entire world, are the Jewish people, and all the Bnei Adam, but the Jewish people are responsible to elevate all the people that are from Adam Arishon, all those souls, and use in a loving way, in a beautiful way, in a respectful way, all of creation, which includes animals and human beings beings that are not from Adam Arishon, and together use all those levels of understanding to create a global consciousness unified world, which we said is Adam Arishon. So that's the basic idea I wanted to share. And I'm sure there is more. And the question is what you want to do next time, because we can start learning basically anything you want. If anybody has any suggestion of what you would like to learn, or what topic?
Maybe like the deep meanings behind certain halachas, like the Kabbalah behind.
Oh, that's an excellent idea. Actually, that's beautiful you bring that, because it was one of the idea I thought that with the mitzvahs and halacha, and what's the spirituality behind it and the meaning behind it, so that we know we do things in a way that it cultivates the garden. That's a great idea. So God willing, we'll try to go through mitzvahs and halachos, and you're welcome. If there's halacha really that bothers you, right, please let me know, so I can prepare about it, and we'll learn it all together.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for attending and changing the world with me. We just make the Gan Eden even more beautiful today. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Rabbi.